You want to create some killer face-melting tones with your Boss Katana? Well, we're going to give it a shot today. You might have seen my other video. It was called The Best Distortion on Boss Katana, but that was kind of clickbaity. It's still a good distortion tutorial, and I highly suggest it. And I really like that tone myself, but I figured why not use some more of the pedals within the amp, and we'll round out some more really good high-gain tones. So what better pedal to start with than the old classic Boss Metal Zone MT2. Probably one of the most misused. It's right up there in the top 5 misused Boss pedals, just because everybody just wants to crank everything on it, and you just can't. You gotta be easy with it. You gotta know how to dial it in. You can't hit that level up over 50. You can't turn that distortion up over 50, and you gotta kind of be easy with the highs, lows, and the mids. So we don't have those options on here, but we're gonna tweak the hell out of this and play with some EQ, and we're gonna make a cool Metal Zone sound. So first, we're gonna start with our panel just sits sterile tone. You can just do this from the panel if you want. You go up to the panel and you just make all the settings just straight across the board, zeros, and never turn everything off. But I've got one preloaded, and it's looking just like this, and we're going to use it. So let's start off looking at the panel right here. We're going to have it on clean amp. I got the distortion, or the gain set at 50 and volume at 50. We're going to crank that up here in just a bit. And let me pull my notes up here. And we're gonna leave that gain at about 50, but we're gonna crank up the volume to about 75, 76. Now, if you don't know, and I just discovered this because somebody commented on it, with the Boss Katana Tone Studio, when you're hovering above it, you can click and drag it like that, or you can just use the mouse wheel and kind of fine tune it. I didn't know that. I've had this amp for like 3 years, and somebody's like, "Yeah, you can just use the mouse wheel." And I'm like, "No kidding." So we're going to leave that about 75. We're going to adjust our bass up to about 58. We're not going to go too high on it. And we're going to turn the mids down to about 40. And up the treble about 61-ish. And everything else is off. We're going to change from vintage to modern, and we're going to move the presence up to about 66. Give it a little bit of bite. Even though the Metal Zone has enough bite to it. We're going to come over here. We're going to go look at our chain. All right. I want either one of these two. I prefer this one for this particular one. That puts the booster, the Metal Zone, in front of the amp and the equalizer and everything else. And see, a lot of people like to use the Metal Zone pedal itself as a preamp, and I just don't think you have to. I've got it plugged. I've got that hot rod behind me. I've got it plugged straight in there, and I just dial it in and get those EQs how I want them. And I even have another little EQ pedal on there in case I want to dial in a little bit better. But we're not talking about the pedal. We're talking about the Katana today. So we're going to come over here. I'm going to leave it at chain 1. And after I get my chain set up, you can use either of these. Now, just remember, this is all just a guide. I'm just trying to get you in the right direction. And if you can play with these to tune them to your ear and how you like it, that's perfect. Now, when it comes to recording or playing live, you might want to ask your peers, hey, does this sound all right? Does this mix all right with all the rest of the band? But I'm just trying to get you in the general direction on how you can make this pedal usable on this amp. Because if we just come over here and we hit booster and go right down to Metal Zone and turn it on, well, let's see how it sounds. Today, what better guitar to use for metal? There might be some other ones. I've got a Jackson Warrior. Nothing special. It's a JS32 model, but it works pretty well. And I've got some Seymour Duncan Invaders in. Well, I got one Invader. The one in the neck I don't use very often, and so that's just kind of a cheap clone, but it sounds really good. That's not a good example here. But if we got our booster on, you can hear it just sounds little. It doesn't sound terrible, but it doesn't sound good. We're going to really wake it up some, though. So we're going to look at our drive. We're going to bump that drive up to about 50, and we're gonna leave that at about 38 and plus 10, and we're going to leave that right at 0. So everything right now is looking pretty good. Let's see if it sounds a little better now we bump the drive up. So it's sounding so far so good. Now we got that going on. Let's jump from here. Let's go straight over to our EQ. We're going to go EQ amp out, and we're going to use the GE10 on this one. We're going to do 2 EQs on this one because I've got a parametric EQ setting that I kind of like and I start with, and then I just kind of tweak it down from there. So let's see how we sound right now. Now we're just going to fine tune this one. So we're going to go about 2.5 negative on the 31 hertz. I got my tuner just going all batshit crazy over there. And then on the 62, we're going to go down to about 1.5. On the 125 hertz, we'll go down to 0.5. And 250, we'll leave it right at 0. And the 500, we'll leave it 0, 2. And 1 kilohertz or 1 hertz, or 1,000 hertz. 1,000 hertz, we'll drop down to what, 1.5. Let's see how it's sounding now. We're just trying to bring those frequencies down a little bit and smooth them out. So up to 2,000 hertz or 2 kilohertz, we're going to drop that. We're going to bump that up to 1. And then the 4,000 will drop down to about -1.5 or -5. The 8 will drop down to about -0.65. And we're going to take the 16 down to about -8. But we're going to jump up the level to about 3.5. It's a subtle difference. When we get to the parametric EQ, that's when you're going to hear a major difference. But it sounded so far so good. Now with my parametric EQ, this is a different animal now. This one, I've got my preferred set, and I'll show you in just a second here. And let's stop to talk about the system here. So I'm going to turn on. Let's listen here. Let's turn on my parametric EQ that I have saved within the Tone Shape Global EQ. It adds a more rich sound to it, but we're not going to use that one. We're going to go in that direction, but we're gonna turn it down a little bit. So I'll show you what that is in just a second. Let's go up here to System, and this is very important, especially if you're recording or playing into your DAW, which right now I have it going from my Katana into an Ultra DI, Behringer Ultra DI direct inject, and that DI goes with an XLR cable into my PreSonus Audio Box interface, and then the interface, I'm using Tone Studio obviously, but I can use that as well with PreSonus Studio One. So if I'm recording like this, as you can see, I'm hearing it through the headphones. I'm hearing it through the direct inject and all that good stuff. What it's coming through is your system, your line out settings, because it's coming from the line out into the computer. Now, you have some choices here. You can turn off the custom settings and use the ones that are built in, which you'll see in a second why I don't care for them. This is blend. Although it does have a nice, dark, gritty, old school sound. Or recording, which has way more treble in it. And then live, which is a little bit different now too. I make a funny face because it sounds like crap. So we're not going to use that setting. We are going to use custom settings. So we're going to click here, and this is kind of like, it's like an IR almost. What it is, you're setting it like to virtually mimic a microphone in front of an amp. So you got two different mics here. You got mic 1 and mic 2. Now, I just like this Ribbon 121 mic. I forget what, it's a clone of, but it's a Ribbon mic, and the model number is 121 right off the top of my head. I say it in my big comprehensive guide, but I don't remember right now. And I keep it about 10 centimeters from, that's the distance from the mic to the speaker. So about 10 centimeters, about 5 and some inches, maybe 5.5 inches. I don't know the conversion. And then the mic position, this is from center. So if it's 4 centimeters from center, it's 4 centimeters from the center, either left or right. It doesn't matter. Or up, down. It's 4 centimeters in any direction from the center. So, but you can play with that too and find your ideal settings. Now, if we just change this slightly, you'll hear some difference. If I change it to like a SM57, a Shure, it sounds good. But it sounds like a little deeper with that one. Let's check out the Dynamic 421. I think that's like a Sennheiser. Sounds very similar to the SM57 and these other ones. Okay, so let's go down to ribbon and then let's adjust this. Let's say we want it like right in front of the microphone. You hear it now? Now? It sounds like it's too overpowering. You got to have some kind of good balance in there, and 10 seems to be the sweet spot for this one. Same with mic position. If you put it right in the middle, 0 centimeters, and then this one like 0 centimeters, you get a whole lot more bottom end in it. So let's just let's put it back to 10 and 4. 10-4, good buddy. And we're going to close that up. Now the global EQ, let me show you the global EQ I was using. Low gain +7, low mid gain -2, so on and so forth. You can see that. So we're going to load that into our settings anyway. And where's it at? Because I don't have this stuff memorized. I should. I've done it enough times. So let's go to our parametric EQ. We're going to go amp out, and then let's hear it before. Now we're going to go +7 on that one. Oh, it didn't take, did it? Some of my +7. Then we're going to go -2 on this one. Down to low cut, we got 40 hertz. And we're going to go down to 250. We're going to leave that at 1. We're going to go +5 on this one. Then +5 on this high gain. And 4 on the level. And then for flat, we're going to go right down to 5 kilohertz. And we're going to go down to 1.6 kilohertz on that. Now, here's the difference. We still got a little too much bottom end with that. So let's simmer down a little bit. Simmer down now. So let's take the low gain and drop it to 3, and you're automatically going to hear a difference. Fix it a little bit. And how about we bump this up to -1? And we're going to bump the low cut up just a hair and this down just a hair. With the high mid gains, we're going to bring it down just a little bit and then bump the high frequency up just a little bit. The high gain we're going to leave there, and we're going to leave that, and everything else is going to remain the same. So let's listen to it. Now we've got it tuned in to where I like it. Like you can play around. Like, let's play around with this high cut. You ready? You're gonna hear it. Now some people might like that. A little too fizzy for me. A little darker if you want a little muddier sound. You can dial that down. That dullens it a bit, but I like it right at 2. So now that we got all that done, let's add let's add some delay to it, or let's add some reverb. Right now we got play. We can add some room. And let me pull up my reverb settings here. Yeah, I don't have all this stuff memorized. I go through before I make this video and find the sound. I don't do it on the fly. I'm not that good. So we're gonna bring actually why don't we use that ain't it. That ain't it. I'm getting there. There we go. So we got that. And let me just make sure that I've got the parametric EQ down the same as well. I grabbed the wrong winder. Yep, winder. Let me go back to my parametric EQ here real quick. 5200, 3, -1. Okay, I'm just making sure I had the right one pulled out. I mean, it sounded the same. So now we got a reverb. We're gonna go along with the plate reverb. Plate's always good for metal, and we're gonna dial this down to 2.0 on the reverb time, and then we're gonna bump it up to 29 milliseconds. We're gonna leave that at 4 and 4, 5 and 54, and let's see how it sounds. And then if you want to add some delay to it, we can throw some delay in there too. Why not? Throw all sorts of crap in there. We got delay 1. We'll turn it on, and we're going to just use some digital delay on this. We're going to go down to 220 milliseconds on the delay time. This is a little slower than I like to do. Yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to double-click in 220. And then we're going to go down to 30 and 40 and 5. And everything else, and we should be good. Let's hear some delay now. So yeah, got some delay, got some reverb. Maybe we want to throw a little I don't know. We got some. Throw comp in there? Throw a light comp in there. Why not? See where we're at. Ooh, that pipes it down quite a bit. Let's bump it up to about 56. Roll the attack back and roll the sustain up. That softens it up around the edges just a little bit. It also tweaks the tone a little bit, so we can bump that up to about 60. Maybe add a little tone to it. I probably shouldn't talk while I'm playing, huh? Now, if we want to get fancy, why not add some flanger into it? Flange it up. And we can just do anything on here, really. I mean, we're just playing at this point. So, why not? And you can already hear it going. Nice slow metal flanger. Yeah, that's it. Just dial it in and have fun with it. Next, maybe I'll do the HM2 heavy metal, the Swedish chainsaw. That one's a little bit trickier, but I think we can do it. Now, don't forget, if you want to write it, hit write, and we're just going to put it right over this stereo tone because I've got this saved anywhere. And we're going to call it MT2. We hit write, and it's going to be right there. Now, if you want to download this, I'll have a link to my Dropbox in the description, and you can just download it and then tweak it from there if you like. So that's it, and enjoy. Let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to do, and I'll do my best. Please like and share, and we'll see you next time.